Welcome back to the End Time Shepherd channel as we continue on with this series, making sense of this bombshell Epstein file release. I want to begin today by reading a Bible verse from Mark 4:22. There is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. There is nothing kept secret that will not come to light. And isn't that what we're seeing right now? And this is something I actually just learned, but we all mostly think that when we hear the word apocalypse, that it means the end of the world. But as you can see on screen, the book of Revelation, its literal title in Greek is the Apocalypse of John. And the word apocalypse means revelation, to reveal. So for anyone who's doubting the times that we're living in, and no one knows the day or the hour, we don't know how long the end times are going to be exactly. But we can't deny that the apocalypse has taken place and they are revealing, they're showing their hand. That's actually what this entire series is about. In the first video, we mostly covered the Old Testament. In part 2, we went into the gospel and the Pharisees, what they were practicing in secret, as Stephen called out in Acts of the Apostles, and as Jesus made crystal clear in the book of Revelation. And then, of course, we showed you the synagogue of Satan, Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, where Jesus puts a nice tidy bow in helping us understand that these people are not who they claim to be, and it better helps make sense of why he said their father is the devil, why there was persecution all throughout the New Testament, and how that never stopped, as should have been abundantly clear after last video, part 3. So today we're going to discuss a bit of the implications of this new reality that we have before us. Because now that you know that that piece of land over there is not biblical Israel, it'd be impossible because Israel was a person, and the Israelites are his descendants, the 12 tribes of Israel. And we now know Jesus explained exactly who they are, most notably in the book of Revelation, which is the part of the book that we're living through right now. And so before we get into the real juicy stuff in terms of what was shown in the trailer video, what's going on right now, what the New World Order is, why this bombshell reveal of all these Epstein files and everything that they do and have always done behind the scenes. You know, the biggest barrier to exposing all the evil in this world is that people just can't handle it. They can't fathom that there are people this wicked. But if they just took the Bible literally, then they would know. But people don't want to live in that world, the reality. They want to live in this fantasy world where only good exists, and the only evil people are people who vote differently from you. But that's not the world we live in. That's the reality they created, and it's a fake one. And we're going to start building upon that fake reality in this video as well.
United Nations headquarters, which was built in 1945 and financed largely by John D. Rockefeller. Inside UN headquarters is an ominous meditation room. The custodian of the meditation room is Lucis Trust Company. At one time, the Lucis Trust was located at 666 United Nations Plaza and was formerly named Lucifer Publishing Company.
Remember, polar opposites, good versus evil. I know that sounds like a vast oversimplification, but that is exactly what we're dealing with here. For Christians, the number one thing that you could do for God is to save wayward sheep, taking them off the wide path that leads to destruction into the narrow gate that leads to life, salvation. And so if you're on the other side, the best way to serve your God is to cause us to sin, cause us to hate each other, cause us to break commandments, which hurt God, our God, and pleases theirs. And the top way that you serve their God is to lure God's children into the pits of hell. If you do follow the commandment to forsake this world, to hate this world, and you understand that the whole point of being here is to determine, do you want to live with God forever, or do you want to be with the devil forever? Eternity. If all you care about is to make it to heaven, then they can't take anything away from you. Short-term pain, suffering, that's a given. That's the constant. We can't avoid that. What we can determine is our faith and perseverance and obedience. And I believe I'm giving you all the ammo you would ever need to hate this world, to lay it bare, to strip it bare, to see it for exactly what it is. A cesspool of evil, and with a vast majority of our brothers and sisters who are fully deceived and who, as prophecy says, in the end days will turn against us. And so part of this process is battle hardening my brothers and sisters who are watching this. Praying, avoiding sin, remaining in a state of grace so your connection with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit can protect you from the forces of evil and all our holy family. That's the only way we're going to make it to the finish line and not be among the many who fall away, as 2 Thessalonians foretold. And there will be many people who listen to all these warnings, put their head in the sand, shoot the messenger, but they're only hurting themselves. And so, to get into why they're revealing themselves now, there's another thing you need to understand about how this game is played, what the law is, what the arrangement is between God and the devil. In terms of what power the devil has here on earth, we have to refer back to Job. Because even though God agreed to test his servant Job, as the devil had suggested, the devil needed permission. And God set the parameters, he set the rules. You could not destroy Job. And ultimately, everything he lost was restored to him. But the point is here, the devil has to work within the parameters of God's framework, his rules, his laws. And one of the things that is very clear is that these deceivers have to reveal themselves somehow, some way. Because if the devil and his minions were able to deceive the masses without any rules or parameters, not one of us would make it to heaven. Or a very, very select few, and there's already few enough. If you want to put in perspective, they're forced to show their hand, and they are showing us exactly who they are, and people still can't see things for what they are.
It took me to my adult years or leaving home where I could really try on something different for myself. That was Satanism.
I sold my soul to the devil. A really weird mental state lately.
You've been in a weird mental state?
Yeah, I keep finding these bites all over my body.
What?
Like that one, and I don't know where they're coming from. So
You actually do have a bite there.
I spend most of my days wondering where these. I think it's a spiritual problem more than anything.
In what way is it a spiritual problem?
Well, I don't know. I feel like if it's not a physical thing, it's like a evil manifestation of spirits that are.
Yeah.
So did you sell your soul, and if so, how much did you sell it for?
I sold my soul for about $55.
Only 55? It wasn't even worth 100?
No.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
Had we sold our soul to the devil? How else can you explain us being here on the
yeah. Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
The whole idea of celebrity and fame has become really convoluted and, kind of bastardized, like whereas fame used to be the byproduct of success, and now it's the ultimate goal. And if your ultimate goal is to be famous, then you're gonna do a lot to get there, like sign your name in blood in a contract with the devil. Like you're gonna end up on a one-way street and it's going nowhere. Like that's just the truth. I've seen so many people like forsake their moral code and their value systems just for a little bit of fame, and it's not worth it at the end of the day. It's really not worth it.
Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration.
Like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers have entered the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all is going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it.
And here's to hell. May we have as much fun there as we had getting there. Huh, Howard?
And we'll be there.
We are the first species on the face of this earth to be aware of evolution, to be aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do. The babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight, the babies we eat.
The babies we eat.
And so we do have the luxury right now, if you want to call it that, as far as truth, because if you live in a world of lies, and truth is the only thing that's going to get you through all the lies, all the deceptions, and make it to heaven, then if you really want to look at it this way, money, currency, fiat, none of that is worth anything. Because at the end of our lives, which is short in the span of eternity, we can't take any of that with us. And if we're not of this world, if we want to make it to heaven, if we're storing our treasures in heaven, then the most important thing, the most valuable asset that you cannot put money on is truth, discernment. Knowing that the narrow gate applies in all walks of life, always going against the herd, always going against the grain. not worrying about what people think or feeling weird or people thinking that you're weird. Let them think what they want. But the pursuit of the truth is the pursuit of your own salvation. This is a long way of saying that Satan has to reveal himself. Yes, they are being upfront with it, which makes it much easier to know the truth. It simply comes down to whether or not every one of us is able to accept the truth. And quite frankly, if you look around, very few are. The narrow gate. Always the many and the few. And so if you've gotten this far, if you can accept the truth, count yourself very lucky. It should be a source of immense gratitude. Because once you see all the many deceptions that are laid before us, before this is all said and done, you'll come to realize what I have. It's going to be nearly impossible for those who hate the truth to make it to the end with their soul intact. It's why I do what I do. But in circling around to why they're doing this reveal right now, because you've seen the photos, you've seen all the pictures, these things go back decades. They could have released them at any point in time. So why now? In the vein of problem, reaction, solution. They're creating the problem. The problem is that, wow, these people really do worship Satan and all these pagan deities. Wow, these people really do drink their blood. Wow, they really do eat them. Baal, sometimes you'll hear it referred to as Baal. It's B-A-apostrophe-A-L. You'll hear people say Tower of Babel, Tower of Babel, potato, potato. Moloch, Ashara, Diana, Lilith. But the reason why they worship all these different gods, like the planets, those aren't really planets. They're just different gods to them. Jupiter, Mars, Saturn is a big one. You see a lot of the Egyptian gods, Osiris, Ra, Horus, Isis. And these people are all about breaking every single commandment on purpose because their God is not our God. I know it's hard to accept, but there are people in this world, and we were told several times, that if God is extreme light, if he's truth, then there are people who hate the light and they prefer darkness. And they reveal themselves in various different ways. Signs and symbols, as we began to cover after the scattering at the Tower of Babel. These were people who were Luciferian, trying to build a tower to defy God and enslave humanity. God foiled their plan. You even saw one of the Freemasonic leaders, A.E. Waite, say, "Out of evil comes good," and the confusion of tongues gave way to the ancient practice of Masons speaking without the use of tongue. That was their pivot to God foiling their plan, which they called evil, which goes to show that what God does, our God does, they consider evil. What we do, Christians, his followers, they consider evil. Everything's inverted. When you see all these actors and actresses all throughout the years get up on the podium at any of these award shows and say, "I'd like to thank God," they never tell you which God they're talking about. We've just always assumed it's our God. And another thing, after they were scattered, the signs and symbols are how they kept in touch, so to speak, before the days of email and internet. It's also why a lot of these different gods overlap. And so when people are showing you these montages of these people covering their eye or holding up a 666 or holding up an X symbol, which I'll explain in the next video because it's very important, and people just think it doesn't mean anything, well, of course it means something. If they're doing it on a magazine cover and someone's covering their eye, I mean, have you ever taken a photo at a party or a wedding or a barbecue and someone was covering their eye? I mean, if they did, the photographer would be like, "Ugh, let's take another one. So-and-so is covering their eye," right? So if you think someone like Beyonce is on Vogue covering one eye and the photographer's like, you covered your eye. Okay, let's just go with it. And this just happens every single photo shoot. It's clearly done on purpose. Like, we can understand the concept of rival gangs and how they have gang signs. And if you saw kind of a hand motion in the street and you didn't know what it meant, you would assume it was a gang sign. Well, these people do the same thing to communicate with each other in plain sight. And they get away with a lot of things they do because people dismiss it and say, it doesn't mean anything. That's what most do. Remember, most, few, many, few. And just like a gang, if you want to be part of this group, you either have to be born into it, come up through a Masonic lodge, be someone who knows somebody. But a mandatory thing is you have to prove that you're one of them. You have to do something wicked that they have evidence of. Blackmail. We discussed this in the last part. So if you don't know what you're getting into, if you're an outsider, you've got to prove that you're down with whatever they do. And that if you ever think of turning against them, they'll turn the script on you. And so this is why I said, this Epstein file dump, I'm not sure it's even the government collecting all this information on them, because they've had this information for a long time. They're the ones helping cover it up. This to me seems like Epstein's never-ending list of blackmail files he's had on everyone who's visited his island. And by the way, that's another red herring, because if you think these people have to travel to an island with a very obvious-looking building on top of a hill, that's what they want you to believe. Opposites. We live above ground during the day. They operate beneath the ground at night. And everywhere in the entire world, there are places that are not on the map. There are entrances we have no access to. But there are entire tunnels beneath us. And this is where all this stuff goes on. So the Epstein thing is mainly a distraction. Is he and everyone else that you've seen complicit in it? Of course they are. But what I'm saying is nothing's ever going to happen, and that's kind of the point. Now I want to reiterate again. I am not a voter. I'm in my 40s. I have never voted one time in my life. I told you this early on. This is not a brag. It's not a flex. It's not arrogance. It is nothing but gratitude. I was born with this gifted spiritual discernment, and that's why I use it, because I feel like that's my purpose. To whom much has been given, much is expected. I've always been able to see right through lies and have the confidence to form my own opinions, and it's my job to teach other people and share that information so that they can avoid being deceived to their own peril. Stakes have never been higher than the times we're living in. And so I want to make it clear that I don't have a party, and that enables me to see things very clearly. There's no pride here. There's no part of me that says, oh, I don't want to let the other side win. I don't want to let the liberals win. So I'm going to pretend that I'm on board with this. Or I'm a liberal. Oh, I never want to agree with any MAGA person. No, I just call balls and strikes. I call things how I see it. And what I see is a whole lot of political theater and a bunch of Masons working with each other, colluding with each other, who are all friends. I mean, let's be honest. I'm supposed to believe that the serial womanizer who bankrupted every company he's ever started up, who's most known for being an egomaniacal narcissist who talks about himself nonstop, I'm supposed to believe that he lived a life like that? You're a cookie-cutter stereotypical New York Democrat, went his entire life and decided that he was wrong, a man who's probably never admitted he's wrong once in his life. I'm supposed to believe that he had this road to Damascus moment and turned conservative, and now he's this beacon of Christianity?
You know, I just to share with you one really funny opinion. But there is in Lapland there is a group of the shamans there who do something called collective dreaming. They will go together in seclusion and do the rituals with eating very little food and being in a solitude for a long time. And they will go and dream the dreams. And the dream have to be collective, same dream. So coming out of this dream, once of the shaman told me that actually the best thing happened in this planet right now is the Trump to be the president. I said, how is this possible? It's the best thing to happen. He said, yes, because he's so irrational, he's so crazy. That's actually create that awakening, that we finally wake up. Because before it will be another guy and everything looks similar. But he's so different than anything else. So he's the magician who waking us up. What do you think about that? That kind of theory. Trump is the best thing happened ever to us. Huh? That he is the magician of the highest order. That he is there in his irrational mind to create confusion in order that the human being can find new order. It's completely turning things upside down.
So this is one of the highest ranking witches, Satanists in the world. You've seen her pictured right next to Jacob Rothschild. And she's saying that Trump is causing awakening, causing everyone to wake up. She also called him magician of the highest order. These are not the kind of person that you want to get compliments from if you're presenting yourself to America and to the world as this holy Christian leader, this conservative beacon there to save Christianity. Speaking of which, let's see how good your lie detection skills are.
Who are your favorite authors? Well, I have a number of favorite authors. I think Tom Wolfe is excellent. Did you read Vanity of the Bonfires? I did not. It's a phenomenal book.
What book are you reading now?
Well, I'm reading Bonfire of the Vanities. I'm reading my own book again because I think it's so fantastic, Tom. What's the best book you've read beside Art of the Deal? I really like Tom Wolfe's last book, and I think he's a great author. He's done a beautiful job.
Which book?
His current book. His current book. It's just out.
Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yes. And the man has done a very, very good job.
You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book, and you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favorite Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
Are you an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible. The whole Bible is an incredible. But religion, you know, it gives you some hope. Gee, if I'm good, I'm going to heaven.
Do you believe in heaven?
I do. If I'm good, I'm going to heaven. And if I'm bad, I'm going to someplace else, like over there, right?
Use the word Christian. Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of, I'm a religious person. Shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out, I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian. And I go to church and I love God and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale was my pastor. The Power of Positive Thinking. Everybody's heard of Norman Vincent Peale. He was so great. He would give a sermon you never wanted to leave. Sometimes we have sermons and every once in a while we think about leaving a little early, right? Even though we're Christian. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Frank, would give a sermon. I'm telling you, I still remember his sermons. It was unbelievable. And what he would do is he'd bring real life situations, modern day situations, into the sermon. And you could listen to him all day long. When you left the church, you were disappointed that it was over. He was the greatest guy. And then, you know, he passed away, but he was a great, he wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is a great book.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't.
Potential attack lines has to do with an answer you gave to Frank Luntz months ago when you said that you've never asked God for forgiveness. Do you regret making that remark?
No, I have great relationship with God. I have great relationship with the evangelicals. In fact, nationwide, I'm up by a lot. I'm leading it. I like to be good. I don't like to have to ask for forgiveness, and I am good. I don't do a lot of things that are bad. I try and do nothing that's bad.
If we're to judge a tree by its fruits, you could see I purposely put him talking about his book, and then he was asked about his favorite book, and he just lied his way through it, followed by the next clip talking about the Bible, his favorite Bible verse, and he couldn't even name one. And then we got the huge telltale sign where he's making sure, even after being interrupted, to say what he was supposed to say, which is that if you're a good person, you go to heaven, which we more than established is not true. He's the deceiver. And in the coming videos, I'm going to show you, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that he's not Christian, which wouldn't be as big a deal to me if he just didn't lie about it. But I never believed just because he slapped on a red hat and said that he's not friends with Hillary anymore that that's the case. Never bought any of these political games my entire life. And I'm saying that because I'm about to go pretty hard at Donald Trump. It's impossible to make sense of what's going on, him being in office, without talking about him. But that's why I'm going to do the extra steps to make sure that you understand that this is not me taking sides. I'm on your side. And if you're participating in their games via the election, part of that game is pitting Republican versus Democrat, conservative versus liberal, where literally all they have to do to get what they want from the conservatives is tell them that the liberals are against it, and vice versa. And both sides can't stand what they're told are conspiracy theorists, which we'll get into later, because they can't make sense of the fact that people aren't participating in this game because they've been told that this is their power. I like to use this analogy when explaining what their game is when it comes to elections, and I hope it'll make sense. I think it'll help you understand how they operate, how they scheme, how they deceive. And so think about it this way with elections. If you had a toddler who was a particularly fussy eater, every night is a struggle. The crying, the yelling, no matter what you make for him, he won't eat it. Until finally you try something new and you say, hey, you know what, Jimmy? You're a big boy now. And of course he's not, but you're telling him he is, so that's what he believes. And since you're a big boy, Jimmy, you're going to decide what you want to eat. And you present them with 3 different options. Jimmy picks, he feels like he's in control, he feels like a big boy. And meanwhile, you get what you want, you the parent, because now you're not getting in a big fight over him eating or not eating, because now you don't have to deal with that struggle, and you present the 3 options, any one of which you were okay with making because it's very simple for you to make. That's the electoral system in a nutshell. Them telling you you're in control. So as long as you think you could vote yourself out of the current predicament that you're in, that they created, by the way, then there's no rebellion, no revolt. And let's be clear, not calling for any rebellion, no revolts, nothing like that. But that's their game. And so whether it was Obama in office, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, it's all the same to me. Because all I see are a bunch of Freemasons who are all friends pretending that they're not. And so just know, when I go ahead and shred Donald Trump, if you're a MAGA supporter, this is not TDS, these little terms that they make up to turn us against each other. This is me just exposing what this man truly is. This is not me exalting myself or making anyone feel dumb for falling for elections. It's just something, again, I was gifted to see with clear eyes very early on, that it just didn't make sense. You told me all my life that politicians are corrupt. All these jokes about hell, it's lawyers, politicians. And then I finally get a chance to vote for one, and it never quite made sense to me that you're telling me that the whole thing is corrupt and that these politicians aren't any good, but I'm supposed to get excited about voting for one? And it's only gotten worse throughout my lifetime. We used to have parties that were, for the most part, pretty similar. Look where we're at now. All by design. But with everything we now know about who these people are, what kind of activities they're into, the God that they worship, the fact that they told us outright that there's election interference with people who support Donald Trump. And again, I don't support any of these people. So this is not me attacking any particular political candidate or anyone who voted for said political candidates. This is just me exposing lies, which is what I've been doing the entire time. And part of the reason why people get so upset is that's the whole reason for voting. It's number one, to make you feel like you're in power when you're really not, to turn you against your neighbor when you're supposed to love your neighbor. And then once you cast that ballot, you don't want to be wrong. So you're emotionally invested in this person. But to see that these people worship the devil and perform all these satanic acts with children, I don't know. I just have a hard time understanding how people think that it's really out there, that your vote actually doesn't count. It's just a game. It's an illusion. They're actors.
The world will come to a flaming end at midnight tonight. Without my help and knowledge, every one of you will be dead. I am the only one. Trust me.
I alone can fix it.
I am the only one. Trust me.
I am the chosen one.
I can build a wall around your homes that nothing will penetrate.
Build the wall. Build the wall.
You're a liar, Trump.
The people were ready to believe. Like sheep, they ran toward the slaughterhouse. And waiting for them was the high priest of fraud.
Fact or Fiction is brought to you by America's Finest Carpet.
Prototypes for President Trump's proposed border wall are now being built in Otay Mesa. And in tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're looking into a 27-year-old comic that seemed to predict this. A meme going around claims to show a 1990 comic strip that featured a controversial wall in New York City built by Donald Trump, who then rides a populist wave to gain power. It's actually true.
If we believe in ourselves, and the way I believe in myself, and I really do believe in myself, if I decide to run, you'll have the great pleasure of voting for the man that will easily go down as the greatest president in the history of the United States. Me, Donald John Trump. God bless America, and good night.
Mr. Trump, we give you Scazzy.
Harry Lennox comes in at a low point. This guy is the star of The Blacklist, the #1 hottest news show on TV with James Spader. Many will remember he was the general in Superman. He's a top, maybe the top African-American Shakespearean actor. He's got a version of Henry V coming out. So he's leaving my studio and he sees a cutout we have of Obama. And he says, well, he's a rat bastard. And I said, what? He goes, oh, because I'm black, I have to like Obama. And he says, Mancow, do I remind you of him? And I said, well, I don't want to say it. He goes, oh, yeah, because all black people are the same. And he's laughing some more. He goes, Mancow, Barack Obama is me. He goes, you've seen me on TV. You've seen me in movies. He is me. And I said, what are you talking about? What are you saying? He goes, do I remind you of Obama? And I said, well, yeah, you do. He goes, he mimicked me. He followed me for years, and they wanted me to train him and teach him how to act. This is Harry Lennox's words. I've got some of my crew here. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And what was the word? Like an educated... The guy's name's Nathan. He's one of my producers. Here you go.
Yeah, so exactly what Mancow said. He called me, Barack Obama. He said, that guy's a rat bastard. He goes, he mimicked me for years. I trained him to be a Southside, educated, African-American black man from Chicago. He says he's known him since 1992, spent many hours with him at his house, talking for hours. He says the only person that knows him better than him would be Michelle Obama.
But he did say, I know him, probably only Michelle knows him better than I do. And he said he's very stupid. He's been taught to act like this. And I said, how long did he know he was going to be president? He said, well, he knew from 1998. And I said, from childhood? He goes, I don't know. I said, but definitely 98. He goes, and maybe earlier. Now, this is a man that hadn't done anything. Anyone in your family, anybody you've ever known that went to Vietnam, they had a couple, I mean, think of what the technology was. And yet John Kerry had film crews. John Kerry was a nobody, him fighting in Vietnam. The boy from Hope, Arkansas, from a divorced family, a nobody. Bill Clinton has pictures as a child of him hanging out with JFK. Dwight D. Eisenhower's granddaughter told me these people know from birth. I think of the boys from Brazil. Obama knew in 98 he was going to be president.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values. Like, you work hard for what you want in life. That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
My parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise,
that you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them and even if you don't agree with them,
that you treat people with respect. They taught and showed me values and morals in their daily life. That is a lesson that I continue to pass along to our son. And we need to pass those lessons on to the many generations to follow.
And Barack and I set out to build lives guided by these values and to pass them on to the next generation, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
All the world is a stage, and on that stage are deceivers of the highest order. Remember, they serve the father of lies. Divide and conquer. Whether it was Trump or Obama, they know well in advance, and it's what I've been talking about with the two different timelines. There's what the people that are in power show us and present to us as our reality, through their media monopoly, their sellout influencers, their pawns, who shape the way we think, we feel, who breathe life into all these news stories and political agendas, fanning the flames of division, making sure that we hate our neighbor who voted differently when your vote doesn't actually count, which is the biggest irony, all to make us want the solution that they want, something we would never want in a million years unless they deceived us into wanting it. I get that it's a tough pill to swallow, but all the truth really is, because it all involves humbling yourself and acknowledging that no matter how smart you are, you've still swallowed a ton of lies. We all have. We're all victims here. And for anyone who saw the trailer video where I showed you how long truth speakers have been talking about this stuff, that we're living through right now. We're talking like over 30 something years ago, warning about the New World Order, controllable money, digital currency, AI, smart cities, smart homes, over 30 years ago, which should help you grasp what I'm talking about in terms of what they want, how far in advance they reveal it to us, which is also part of universal law. They have to show their hand. God forces them to. And there are people who take it seriously. They understand how the game is played. They understand that these people are not just telling us because they think it might happen. They're telling us it's going to. It's part of desensitizing and universal law. And so all these people, when they see these organizations like the World Economic Forum or the United Nations, when you see Klaus Schwab or his right-hand man, Yuval Harari, who you got to see in the other video.
All this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news.
When people hear these things, they see these people talking about what they want for us, and then people harumph and they're like, yeah, good luck with that, buddy. Who voted for this guy? Well, the joke's on that person. No one voted for these people. No one voted for any of these people. These are the last people on the face of the earth you should trust. And they're also the last people on the face of the earth who play fair. They don't even consider us human. So if you think they care about your vote, you're living in a fantasy land. Your vote certainly does not count. You have no say in what's going on. And none of what you're saying stops until the trumpets sound and our King returns, Jesus Christ. And for people that would think that that's blackpilling or dooming, well, it depends. If you love this world and don't want to leave it, then I guess it would sound like that. For me, the evil all around me, deception, it's palpable. I can't wait to get out of here because I have faith knowing that where I'm going is somewhere way better, beyond human comprehension. And so we have a lot of Christians who talk about faith. Well, that faith is going to be tested like no other generation. And it's important that you put your faith in Christ alone and in each other. Find people you can trust and you can count on, people who can handle the truth. Because allies are going to be in short supply down the home stretch. And when it comes to that montage that I showed you earlier of these people telling you directly that they worship Satan, well, this is where they do it. At award shows, on late night TV, so everyone just passes it off and dismisses it as a joke, comedy. When they show you all these blood-soaked music videos, award shows, which are just satanic rituals, it just gets passed off as art. There's always some lame excuse for why we can't just believe what our eyes are showing us or what our ears are telling us. Comedy, art, diplomacy, ethics. And what's actually happening is they're sellouts and they're forcing their constituents, their supporters, to sell out too. And you see it all the time. People get all fired up that the next politician's going to do this, they're going to do this, they're going to remove this, they're going to stop this. Then they get in office or playing that role, and one by one they backstab you. Do they not? Do they not break every promise every single time? And then the voter, since you feel like you don't want to give in to the other side, you just start moving the goalposts and pretending that you're okay with it, causing you to sell out on your own values and principles. Going to move off this topic because there's not much else to be said. If you just saw that montage of Trump and Obama, and there's way more proof of this, but if you can't see that this is just scripted and these people are just actors, then there's probably not much more I can say or do. But I would hope that if you've gotten this far, you can see that it makes a whole lot more sense that these people that worship the devil, the father of lies, and don't consider us fully human and do what they do to children, don't actually value your vote or opinion. That's just what the truth is. It's humbling. It's a never-ending series of realizing that you've been had. So I'm not going to say any more on this. I feel like we're beating a dead horse. And again, like I said before, it's either something that you can handle or you can't. But the irony is, with all this talk about elections, you're going to see why it's kind of a moot point. And I'm going to get into all that in the next video. So this is more like a bridge, just setting the foundation, making sure everyone's on the same page. And look, one way or another, if you're still married to the idea, or you have to go through the denial process that your vote doesn't count and it's just their game to make you feel like you're in power so that you eat your dinner, well, hang in there because it actually doesn't really matter. Just understand that I don't participate. And so when I go at Trump, because again, he's a key figure in everything that's going on. So when I go after him and expose him in the next video, just know it's not because I'm a liberal. And if I have something to say about liberals or the Democrats, it's not because I'm a Republican. I don't play their game. And I hope you won't either. And for now, that means just not trusting anyone on the main stage because they're only there to deceive you. But thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe. We'll hit the ground running in the next video now that we kind of use this as a interlude. But I appreciate you watching. God bless you and your loved ones, and I'll see you in the next video.